Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishna. Om. Salutations to Bhagavan Ramakrishna, the timekeeper within. We're going to look at the powers from a very different angle. We've all heard about the kundalini yoga. It's everywhere. The practice and the potentialities are enormous. Kundalini means coiled up. However, there also is a lot of hype and misinformation about this sacred power. Swamiji says, if this coiled up energy be roused and made active and then consciously made to travel up the sushumna canal, as it acts upon center after center, a tremendous reaction will set in. A lot of people, even ordinary yogis, can't handle this kind of release of this power. So we will see what this power is. We look at it from a, like I said, a different perspective. Everything, all life on earth is guided, almost all life is guided by the sun and the moon, the day and the night. And this circadian rhythm is felt in every cell because there is a timekeeper, as it were. You know, there is a suprachiasmatic nucleus in the hypothalamus that regulates your waking and your sleeping. According to the sun and the moon. Very fascinating. In fact, nature has evolved all life. All life, yes. Everything goes to right down to the fungi. We have these circadian rhythms. We are, as it were, ticking timepieces. We can't get out of it. Because the rotation and the revolution of the earth is also kind of in a rhythm, it's a pattern. And life, nature has used this cyclic nature to evolve all life. It's an amazing phenomena. A lot of people cannot see it that way. What light is, of course, it's so mysterious. Yes, last Sunday we discussed something about light, the light within. And today we're going to see the timekeeper within. There is a kind of connection, of course. So the body and the mind remain healthy and integrated when it follows that circadian rhythm. And if we don't, we know the consequences all around, it's all around us. Mental health, physical health, all health is linked to the circadian rhythm. So there is a pattern to our lives and we constantly disrupt it. And if we go along with the pattern, we are much better. And nature has used this pattern of light and dark, the sun and the moon, as it were. These are symbols, of course, to evolve us higher and higher and higher. Now, if this is the case, we also know that during the day we are active, and while it's evening and late night, our activity slows down. Of course, there are some people who have become more active in the night. They are called asuric in the mythology. During the day, the gods become very powerful, and at night, the demons become very powerful. So, from this you can understand that there are these bunches of nerves running up and down your spinal column, sensory and motor, and there are various plexuses arranged. On that, you can say spinal cord, various things. They distribute all energy, sensations and reactions, action, reaction, all these things are happening there. That also follows the circadian rhythm, obviously, because this idea of time is embedded in the very structure of our being. We can't get out of this. As I said, we are timekeepers, nature's timekeepers, and not only the human body, everything. Now time, the smallest, you can say, fraction of a time is measured by the cesium kind of clock, cesium atoms. So from the atoms right up to the highest galaxies, they are all kind of bound by time. Simple. It's a tremendous force. Time molds, remolds, creates, destroys this whole universe, and yet it ticks and ticks and ticks, constant. And of course, wherever there is time, there is space also. And wherever there is time and space, there will be matter also, creation. So these things have been found that as we are embedded within the circadian rhythm of the universe, of the world, all life is there. The yogis of India, however, they found something even deeper, a deeper aspect of time. Now we have time, various levels of time. They found kind of deeper aspects. And this is what we are going to discuss to bring in the idea of the kundalini. Okay. There are patterned, almost patterned, according to the sensory and motor nerves that run down your spine, there are two more additional nerve currents. These are often called psychic currents within us, and they run down, and then it's called, technically it's called nadis. Nad, that is from in which you can hear a sound, that is they are active. There's something going on with it. Sound is nothing but vibration. So these are vibrations that are going up and down following the sensory and motor nerves, bunches of nerves running up your spinal column. If this is clear, then yeah, okay. So much deeper are these principal nerve currents called nadis. And then there are the secondary nerve currents which distribute this energy, all psychic energy, all over the mind. Now when I'm speaking about psychic energy, it's not something strange or weird or something like that. It's just supernatural. It is in these currents, nadis, these psychic nadis, that the mind operates. We think the mind is only here. Yeah. We are getting to learn now that the mind is not only here, there is here also, and everywhere. So these currents that flow here, and to illustrate it, it runs something like this down your spinal cord. but there is a twist to it here. This current that starts from here crosses over at the back of the skull, back of the brain, to the right side, and then it shoots up again and goes down and circuits it. This is constant. These two currents are running constantly down psychic, you can say, centers, and ranged along these centers are these various secondary plexuses, they are called, or as we popularly know them as chakras. But we will get to this a little. So, the pingala, that's the sun current. Okay, get this right. Pingala is a sun current. It starts from the left, crosses over to the right, and comes down here. It goes right down to the sacral plexus and then shoots up again. So, this is the sun and this is the moon. Okay. These are the two mighty currents, the sun and the moon. There is an inner psychic rhythm to our lives, and many people have not plunged into that kind of rhythm yet. So, if this is clear, we can proceed now. So, this is the sun, remember, and this is the moon. But why two? Why sun and the moon? When there is something called a loop created, it's actually one current. It's one flow of energy running in two channels. And for identification, it's called the sun and the moon, the pingala and the ida. So, this side is the ida and this side is the pingala. This is also called the sun and this is also called the moon when we do pranayama. We will take some of these exercises later on, pranayama, and how it helps in bringing a kind of a rhythm to these psychic currents there. Okay, I think this is kind of clear. Then, so it reverses, comes back, loops, and so like Swami Vivekananda says, it's like an 8, but only this part is kind of elongated. Obviously, there are books that say that there are, you can say, links all over the current. But since Swami Vivekananda has said like this, we will follow it like this. There is just a kind of it crosses out here at the back of the brain, shoots down your entire spine, and then circuits up and comes again. So, there is one flow of energy running up and down. Now, when we are in this mode, all energy has information. All energy. It's like, yeah, every atom is called an atom, but it also has information. And that's why we have the information age. All energy has information. Now, if this is okay, then we can again proceed. So, what is the information running up and down these two, ida and the pingala? All your experiences which are in the form of samskaras, impressions. And these samskaras or the information within these two, you can say, streams, they tie you to the body. Because these experiences and memories, or you can say memories, are of the world. So, they tie the world to the body and the mind. You can't disentangle these three aspects, the world outside, your body and your mind, because your experiences, which are nothing but information, is running through your nerves. It's running through the mind, and the nerves, as I said, are the mind, is the mind. Yeah, we are getting it into a very deeper kind of, sometimes it's really mystical, but I'm trying to explain it in kind of layman's terms. This is how you get body consciousness, and it takes a hold of the ego. When you are conscious of your body, you are conscious of your ego as well. When you are not conscious of your body, you are not conscious of your ego also. When you go to deep sleep, there is nothing. There is no body, there is no ego also. Okay, so now we get this. We are time keepers. There's a timekeeper, the sun and the moon, they follow these patterns of this external world. The world outside, inside, kind of. And as I said before, the laws that operate outside in the world also operate inside. We have a kind of a vague idea of, oh no, we are special, we are distinct. Nothing like that. We are as good as any mammalian, any life form. So there is nothing unique about us as being separate from the laws of nature. No, it has to be. We are part of this nature's laws. So same thing that happens outside. If there's the sun and the moon outside, symbolically representing as the day and the night, there has to be all these things inside as well. Okay. Now these two currents that are flowing, but these currents, the psychic currents, are much deeper, like I said, and they tie the soul to the body and the mind. How do you get out of it? Now, if this is the case, then what about all the scripture that speak about freedom, moksha? Well, there is something that is called the sushumna. Now this, of course, it's a kind of rough approximation. Okay, this is how things are. There is, these sun and the moon are bound by time. They are the timekeepers, but this is beyond time. Okay, now we get this idea. Yeah, okay, it's not exactly so thick, okay. It's a very fine thread-like canal that runs right down from where the current loops upwards, and that is what needs to be opened up. That is the kundalini power that rises. Now what is this kundalini power? What is this power? First, the energy of this world runs through you. There is no doubt. So you are not only a part of the universe and nature and all that, but the power of the universe flows through you. But this world outside is material. So how is this power then transformed into spiritual power, or a psychic power, or the sacred power? It has to be approached with veneration and love. The only way, and this is the way to freedom. That's the only way to freedom. So this, you have to take in all the energies, of this pingala and the ida and run it up the kundalini. This is beyond time. That's the timelessness. And ranged all across are these very centers, chakras. Now what is done is, you have to start building up experiences which are of a spiritual nature. If all energy is kind of, has information, then you will, and information is regarding the world. Now you have to start building up a reservoir of memories or information of spirituality, of consciousness or the reality of the Atman. How do you do that? Your prayers, every japa, every meditation, everything that you have done with a spiritual orientation slowly builds up, and it disassociates. These impressions, they separate. It's like oil and water, they don't mix. So the worldly experiences, the experiences of the world rather, they'll tie you down to the body, because of course, and to the world and to the ego. But as you keep on building up a reservoir of spiritual thoughts, spiritual work, spiritual actions, spiritual, you can see everything that you have done for spirituality, they slowly build up, and they escape up, or they run up this middle channel called the sushumna. These worldly experiences, the experiences of the world running up and down, they will keep on. They are psychic energies. But some energy will escape from here and go up here. That energy is the spiritual energy. And you've got to build up an abundant store of energy. Otherwise, you go up and you come down. Like there are some rockets who go up and they come down, fizzle up. So you have to build up enough spiritual experiences and thoughts which are now going to slowly seep up. Then what happens, that very material energy then becomes a spiritual energy. If this is clear, this is clear. Then those very nerve currents, the pingala and the ida that runs up here and here, they also transformed. And as they run up and down, they slowly enter. And spiritual impressions are such, they want to seek perfection, they want to seek liberation. Otherwise, why do you go in for spirituality? That's the goal of spirituality, is liberation, freedom, perfection. And they know that as long as we are bound by these two currents, there is no perfection. Everything then slowly gets transformed. When you work with a spiritual ideal or a spiritual aim or the spiritual attitude, that converts all your memories or the information or the energy from material into spiritual. And it seeks that channel up, the third channel, which is between these two mighty currents. So it's the best time is, that's why they say meditate in the mornings as well as in the evenings, or when night joins into day and the day joins to night. There is a period of relative calmness. And in this, the yogi takes help of that relative calmness. And they say when you meditate during these periods, both the nostrils are open up. Otherwise, during the day, you will find this nostril dominant, and in night you will find this nostril dominant. While you are sitting to meditate, you will find both the nostrils equalized. that's taking help of nature to sit down, and so both these currents that are running down, they also become equalized, and then they seek to open that channel. This is what is called a kundalini, and there are various centers. As the spiritual current rises up higher and higher, Swami Vivekananda says, layer after layer of the mind is revealed, and the yogi sees the world in its subtle and causal forms. A tremendous reaction. You will not see the world as it is. It's impossible once the current starts rising up. This whole vision will change, because you are seeing this, the world as it is, because you are bound by these two, Ida and the Pingala. When the sushumna opens and runs up, everything changes. This world will appear spiritual. And there are various colors symbolically mentioned, that like it's every station, the energy rises 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step, higher and higher and higher, till it reaches the metropolis of all sensations, the brain, the 1,000-petal lotus. And there's a full blaze of illumination. That is enlightenment. So, we have the lowest, this sacral plexus called the Muladhara, then we have the Swadhisthana, then we have the Manipura, then we have the Anahata, then we have the Vishuddha, then we have the Agnya, and then we have the Sahasrara. So, at every level, the vision of the universe and the world will change for you. As Sri Ramakrishna says, as long as the current, the energies are in 3 lower centers, the Muladharas and the Swadhisthana and Manipura, you will see the world as it is. As it rises up, boom, everything is changed. So this is the way how the power that we have inherited can be made to awaken and made to rise up. They say that the power is always trying to seek. It is similarly spoken of as coiled. It's sleeping like a snake, it's kind of, again. And when it's awakened, it seeks to rise up to meet Shiva. That's a Shakti, rise up to meet the Shiva. So that's a 1,000-petal lotus in the head. So this is something that it has to be handled with great care. How long does it take? Well, you've got to build up those spiritual impressions, and as those spiritual impressions keep on becoming better and better, then you have to transform your ordinary experiences which are embedded within you into spiritual experiences. And that's why they say, the mind, the mind will have to go to the objects of the senses, because it's run on those principles. So this is how we can escape the body, we can escape the mind, and we can. So what happens? You are going towards super consciousness. This is the path to super consciousness. And if we can understand this, we can utilize it, there's nothing. But it has to be approached with great veneration. There comes a tipping point. You increase your spiritual impressions to a degree where it will force its way up the sushumna and rise up. That is the way to blessedness. That's the only way to blessedness. I've used some mystical terms, but this is actually what can be Swami Vivekananda says, I have seen the sushumna. He says, I have seen. It's a very fine, thin, golden like thread. It reveals itself to you. But then we'll have to have tremendous internal, you can say, perceptions to see those things. And Sri Ramakrishna asks, do these lotuses or chakras exist? No, they are created by the power of yoga. So there it is. So we are recreating our psychic self through the power of yoga, and that's how we liberate ourselves. Okay. We go in for a small meditation because this is supposed to be a practical. I wanted to first get this across. I hope it has come across. But think about it. It is kind of, it's deep and mystical, but we are all deep and mystical beings. Oh, why do we think we are ordinary? That's the problem. We think, oh, we are ordinary. No, everyone is very deep and mystical, and we have to go back to our own nature. This is the door to it. And this power is the power of the universe. There, coiled up within you, it has to be awakened, and then it will rise. Okay. So we close our eyes for a few moments. Keep your neck and head straight in a line. Square your shoulders, please. Keep your eyes focused near the tip of your nose, please. And leave the tongue free. Check if your eyeballs are moving beneath your closed eyelids. If they are, refocus at a point just outside your nose. I don't want you to imagine anything now. Be at peace. Feel the power there within you. Now visualize that looping current of the sun and the moon down your spine, in the figure of that 8, the pingala and the ida. Visualize those currents as yellowish in color, the sun is more yellowish than the moon current. This is the motor that runs your body and mind. Now, in the center of this looping current, visualize a very fine golden thread. Okay, stop all visualizations, please. Become aware of your breath. And you can slowly open your eyes. So, just to fix those energy loops in your mind, Sri Ramakrishna says it rises up in different ways, sometimes like a snake that slithers, sometimes like the crawling of the ants, sometimes like the bird jumping from branch to branch, sometimes like a monkey straight takes a leap up. So, sometimes the energy flows, sometimes it leapfrogs. It depends on the intensity of that spiritual emotion during that time. Generally, people, it rises a little and comes down. And when it comes down, there is a danger. So, that's why they say build up enough reserves slowly to keep on rising stage by stage by stage by stage. So, I think this explanation is for now. We will, in our subsequent classes, we will do a little more clarification on this, because I think it's important, because apart from all these things, that there is no shortcut to this awakening. It's a process. You got to follow the process. Don't get fooled by claims. Don't get fooled by people who say, yeah, we can awaken that for you. No. It has to be done by oneself. Of course, if the great sage is there, then we can awaken. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You type in your questions, please. First question is, can spiritual impressions be built only by meditation? No, not only by meditation. Meditation is one of the ways. Your japa is there, your prayers, your worship, everything that is done with a spiritual attitude. You see, you are doing the same work that you were used to, but now with a spiritual attitude. Like, I'm doing this for God. I cook, but at the same time, right now, I am cooking for the Lord. That same activity has become now spiritual for you. So, the idea is these all these experiences, the world that hold you, bind you, they have to be transformed, transmuted. Like in the old days, these alchemists, they used to try to convert lead into gold. You've got to do that same thing. You've got to convert all your experiences, the samskar, the thousands and thousands of impressions there have to be transformed. And that is done only by you. Okay. Swami, did you mention that the sushumna canal is blocked? How do you open the channel so that the spiritual thoughts pass through? Oh, that's the whole thing of spiritual life. It is blocked. It's closed. Why? Because you are thinking that this world is everything that you can experience it. That there is a spiritual world, it hasn't hit you. The moment it hits you, there is a large spiritual world. Then the channel will slowly open up. But you have to have that kind of yearning. So Swami Vivekananda says in ordinary people is closed. Closed in the sense, sometimes a little of this energy, Swamiji says, it rises up and a person unconsciously, there are some people who stumble across it. There are some people who, through very deep thought or deep meditation, a little power is released and they become great scientists or something like that, whatever. But it has to be opened. And prayers, that's why Kundalini is called the Divine Mother. You have to approach it as a child would approach a mother. So that's the storehouse of all that is great and grand. Okay. So how do you open it? Yeah, like I said, build up spiritual thoughts and layer after layer after layer after layer after layer. Keep on adding it. That's going to help. Thank you. And what is the danger you mentioned when the current rises and falls in the sushumna air? That is called uncontrollable desires, lust and anger and hatred and greed. It's maddening. So that's why it has to be approached with that kind of veneration, slowly build it up, and that's the reason why there are people who sing and jump and dance, and they, by that power of that intensity, they manage to rouse a little, and then it rises up a little and then falls back, and it creates a kind of a turbulence in your inner life. So that's a danger there. Okay. So is the awakening of Kundalini a separated practice from your daily meditation, or is it the Kundalini is a personal? It's not a separated spiritual practice. What you are doing is in a way trying through your meditation, or you're trying to awaken that power. So there's no separate practice. The separate practice, there are some practices that use some techniques of pranayama. But the danger of pranayama is, if not done according to the rules, there is a chance of people going insane or developing an incurable disease. So it has to be done with a teacher. So there are the various Uddiyana Bandha and Mula Bandha and all these things. So we will discuss some of them in the future classes. But pranayama is generally being used to rouse the coiled up power. But as I said, it's like giving a live explosive in a child's hands. So that's a dangerous thing. So it has to be, like I said, you have to train yourself. Like I said, there's no shortcut, there's no quick way. This is the best way. So keep on doing japa over and over and over and over again, and you'll find all your experiences of the world from your childhood till now, and even in your previous lives, if you believe that, they are all embedded, they have to be transformed. Like I said, you are going to have that science of alchemy and going to convert lead into gold. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, now, so prayer is extremely, extremely, extremely powerful. So that's another very quick way. Quick way in the sense, nothing is quick in spiritual life, but it has got tremendous, you can say, potential. Pray with an intensity, like a child who is afraid, weeping for its mother. See how intense it becomes. Pray like that with intensity. It really helps. There's no doubt about it. Okay, now for questions. Yeah, we'll take this first and then we'll come. The question is whether anyone can have an awakening without a knowledge of the kundalini and the chakras and all that. Oh yes, of course. Of course. Because Vedanta does not discuss this at all. I mean, some Vedanta texts you will get it, but then they speak about the 5, you can say, sheaths, you know? The gross body, the vital sheath, and the mind sheath, and the intellect sheath, and the bliss sheath, and this is. So if you follow that Vedantic, you can say, way, then Swami Vivekananda in his Raj Yoga has amazingly, he has brought, that's a kind of a genius work. He has brought 3 main streams together. The yoga stream, of course, because of yoga, the tantra stream, and the Vedanta stream. Yeah, it's kind of, people look at, and he explained it through, layman's scientific terms. So it's a remarkable. So that is, awakening can come, you know. Yeah. That's a good one. Why should anybody want spiritual awakening? That's a kind of why we don't. Yeah, you go about. There's nobody is impelling you to try to get into spiritual. Yeah, you can go, and then you'll find out. It's like that camel that Sri Ramakrishna eats that thorny shrubs. Its mouth is bleeding and saying, "Oh, that's okay. I'm getting to eat a little thorny shrub. I'll get a little bleeding. So what's there?" Essentially, we are spiritual beings. We have forgotten our real nature. And this nature has been calling on to you over and over again. We have been dismissive at times. We have been busy with other things. But there will come a time when, even in this life, when everything that you have built up, with all the energies of the great mind, slips out between your fingers. And then you ask, is this real? It will come. Then the clouds will kind of part, like Swamiji says. Light will pour and again it gets obscured. So why should we do that? Why should we look for spiritual awakening? That is the only way for you. As Sri Ramakrishna said, the goal, what's the goal of human life? Is to see God. Now if you tell some people outside, what? I don't believe in God. Yeah, that's the problem. You don't believe in yourself. And you think the goal of life is, yeah, I can do everything I want. Life is full of suffering. Don't try to cover it up with nice poetic words. It's terrible. Life is very hard. Very, 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 very hard. Once you understand that this is life, then what? Why should I go into spiritual life? Will not arise at all. You ask anybody. Is your life nice, smooth, good? Ah, they are deluding themselves. So once you understand, that's why they say understand life, and that is a great transformation. And then I said, you will come back to your own nature. And what is your nature? That is your free, your pure, your perfect, Nitya, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta. So you are the embodiment of truth. But what about now? Oh my God, I can't figure out what is truth, what is truth. I'm searching what is truth, what is the reality. So that's okay. Now we go to you. No, that's a nice question. The question is, well, if the sushumna is the timeless nerve, okay, is kind of a timeless nerve. That is, the two nerves, the one current that loops round and round is bound by time. That's a timekeeper within. And as it circuits and breaks through and rises, it's a super conscious perception of things. That is beyond time. In the sense of you are beyond time and space, beyond the world. Your experiences will be of the super mind, super consciousness. Now you're saying, okay, what is, but then if it is beyond name and form, that's what the question was. Why is it then has a name and form? There is actually no name and form. Once you, for reference. Yeah, for reference sake. And there are cases when there are mystical songs also. You enter it and you find the universe there. The entire universe floats in that. Now you cannot expect that thin, fine line to hold the entire universe there. But that's what it is. So you can, you enter actually through that, and like, you have this floor, you have a basement, you have this floor, and then you have a higher floor. So you rise higher. So as you rise, like, you'll see you think, oh, down there, that is bound by time. It's like those guys are bound by gravity and I am without gravity, floating. That's. What is this transformation? The transformation is you are first building up layers after layers of spiritual impressions. Number one. Secondly, as you keep on building this up, all your other experiences are also getting transmuted into spiritual. Okay. So that is killing the earthly, you can say, nature, and making them spiritual. I give you an example. Suppose you're cooking. You have been doing that for numberless years, but now you're going to cook for the Lord. Okay. This very attitude itself has transformed the action now. And all the other impressions now line up and then merge into this kind of, it's in a spiritual experience. So that is, in a way, it is wiping out your old impressions, transforming them. There are some impressions or experiences that are countered and are burnt. It's called a dagda bija, that's the burnt seed state. They will no longer sprout once seeds are burnt. So there are different types of transformations that take place according to the sattva guna, rajaguna, and tamaguna. Okay, yeah, and it's a great, it's a remark. That is an adventure. Spiritual life is a kind of an adventure. It's not dull and dry and no. There are things happening within inside. You won't believe it. Tremendous things are happening within. As your perception becomes fine and get inside, then you can understand it.